She also liked to say, it won't hurt you. It's good to have and it's good to have over. And it's a great life if you don't leave it. She absolutely loved all of her friends who would help her with her never-ending projects. However, there was one thing you could always count on. She would never, ever let you work harder than her. When she had her mind set on something, absolutely nothing would stop her. It might take days to accomplish, or it might take decades. My dad called her a bulldog. Once she got a hold of a project, she would not let go of it until it was finished. Mrs. Laverne was that somebody else, and somebody else will do it. Not only was she that somebody else, she was something else. She more than manned up, she womaned up. She Laverned up. However, she did have her critics, those who talked the talk but never walked the walk. She just could not understand why these critics were so concerned with what she was doing. If they were actually doing something themselves, they would not have the time to be so concerned with, what is Mrs. Laverne up to now? My mother finally came up with the perfect solution to this problem. How do you make a critic disappear? You ask them to help. One day, however, she did say to me, you know, Jerry, the older I get, the nicer people are to me, even my critics. My mother moved in with me in the summer of 2009 after she broke her femur bone. I rushed to the museum one day when I received a call that my mother had fallen. She's pretty tough, so I wasn't too concerned until I arrived at the museum. Her leg was just dangling. While she is on the ground, she asked me to bring her purse to her. It had fallen away also, so that she could give the architect his final check. This check was from a huge grant that Mom had been approved for major restoration work on the Lions Redstone Museum. She had to be in shock, but she was still thinking of the museum. When this accident happened, Mom was in the middle of applying for yet another grant for another project. Mayor Julie came to the rescue to help Mom complete this latest grant application from her hospital bed. It wasn't long after my mother moved in with me that my place became Mrs. Laverne's next storage place. Have you ever seen that series called Hoarders? Most of my mother's hoard is made up of paper for projects that she is working on or had already completed over many, many years. She also was subscribed to the Times Call, the Boulder Camera, and the Denver Post. In addition to these daily papers, she also subscribed to at least nine weekly papers, including the Lions Recorder, the Estes Park Gazette, the Redstone Review, and the National Enquirer. I have a piano that I haven't seen in years, buried under paper. We also have boxes and boxes of newspaper clippings that my mother has cut out from all these newspapers to file in the museum. She originally just clipped out articles about lions in Boulder County, but no longer. When I would ask her why she would clip out some of these newspaper articles that weren't really related to the Lions community, she would just say, it's history. I was my mother's primary chauffeur after Dad passed away in 1997. She just had to attend all the high school sports and music events along with the numerous town events. If she wasn't at your particular event, she was probably at another, and they'd show back up to your event later. Many square dancers would also take her to dances because she no longer had her longtime partner, Mr. Laverne. All the square dancers were absolutely wonderful for her. She was my mother, my roommate, my buddy, and my hero. At the start of each day, she would say, good morning, are you up? Whenever she needed some help, she would bring out the horn. And I would come around. My brother said he had the kids and I had the mother. The following are some of my favorite memories. I will always remember the special family dinners that Cindy and Ron would invite Mom and me to. They were so much fun. After a long day behind her computer, Mom would relax a little bit and watch The Golden Girls, Alfred Hitchcock, and Nannies, and finally go to bed in the wee hours of the morning. She would also keep a running score of the basketball games and keep track of the points and fouls for each Lions player. She once was in a movie theater using a small flashlight to help her see to put stamps on a bunch of thank you cards until the attendant put a stop to it. When my mother could still drive, she would constantly get stopped by the police when she was coming home on country roads from a Longmont or Boulder Square dance. She did not get stopped because she was speeding, but because she was going 10 miles under the speed limit, and they thought she was drunk. They would be the only 2 cars for miles on these country roads. She finally got tired of it and had a discussion with the officer, with her doing most of the discussing. It pretty much left her in her 1976 Chrysler alone after that. She got hit twice by batted balls in this very park. When she was a teenager, she got hit in the head by a foul ball and was rushed to the hospital. Another time, she got hit in the face while pitching batting practice when I was in grade school. Her face was terribly swollen for weeks. She attended many, many funerals during her lifetime for people she had known in Lions. She always had to stand up and tell everyone how this person and their family contributed to the Lions community and its history. My mother seemed to always run into problems. It got to the point that if she didn't have at least one major crisis per day, she wasn't really trying. She was always trying. Finally, I always enjoyed how warmly people greeted my mother. Ron and I had no choice but to share our mother with so many people. However, there always seemed to be more than enough for Mrs. Laverne to go around. I never knew anyone to have so many best friends as my mother. Thank you all for being so wonderful to our mother. My mother was at Hover Manor from April 22nd to May 14th. She was getting so many flowers and get well cards that the nurses and caregivers were wondering just who this celebrity was. She soon made friends with all her helpers. One day I got a call from the True Care social worker who had just visited Mom. She told me that after saying goodbye to Mom said, "If you need anything, just let me know." The social worker then said, "I'm supposed to be helping you with it." On Saturday, May 7th, our family was notified that Mom had taken a turn for the worse. She wasn't talking anymore and was sleeping most of the time. We all showed up to say goodbye just in case. I then stayed with her in her room that night. I woke up early on Mother's Day, May 8th, and turned to her. She was looking right at me, and then she said, "Are you up?" We went on to have a wonderful Mother's Day, where she was laughing, talking with us for hours, or watching family videos that my brother had run to her room. In early May, Mom would wish me a happy birthday every day. I would tell her not yet, but close, and then I would remind her of when my birthday actually was. After our special Mother's Day, my mother's health declined every day. On May 13th, she was still fighting the good fight and not one of the weakness. I asked her if she was trying to make it to my birthday, knowing that she was unable to respond. At 12:01 a.m. on May 14th. her and thanked her for being with me on my 70th birthday. She passed away 12 hours later. How many sons get to share their 70th birthday with their mom? Thank you, buddy. Finally, my mother always had an announcement or two to make at square dances, the senior center, chamber, or almost anywhere she went. She would bang on the table with something in order to get everyone's attention. My mother has a final announcement that she wants me to make for her. She wants to thank each and every one of you for the wonderful, wonderful life she had for 94 years. It would not have been possible without all of you. Thank you all so very, very much. Love you, Mom.
Hello. 40 years ago, I became Laverne's first, only, and of course, most loved daughter-in-law. This is my daughter, Audrey. My husband, Ron, and I never lived farther than Niwot. We were very blessed to live close to all of our family. But you know, you never really know them until you get to live with them. I got that opportunity in 2013 when the horrible floods ravaged the town of Lyons. That year, I wrote a holiday letter, and the subject of the letter was living with my mother-in-law, Maxine. I'd like to read that to you today. I thought it wasn't going to be easy. I was faced with an undeterminable time living with my mother-in-law in my home. She was evacuated September 15th from the town of Lyons, along with the entire town of 2,000 people, after the 500-year flood of biblical proportions poured through. My phone blasted with the flood warning emergency horn all through the night of the floods. It really was a dark and stormy night. By morning, Lyons was cut off. Of course, I invited Maxine to stay with us given the circumstances. We certainly have the room, but everyone knows to think twice about living with your in-laws.
This is especially true if your mother-in-law not only shares the same name, but many of the characteristics as the fictitious Hallmark greeting card character with, let's just say, unusual taste.
What was I gonna do to entertain her all day? She's old, right? Her P.O. box is 9. It really is. Will I need to help her keep up with things? I guess I could take her out to dinner for distraction. I'm still busy working. God spared me the 18 inches of water in my basement, but will I need to be evacuated after my mother-in-law moves in?
At the time, 86-year-old Maxine was born and raised in Lyons. Her official name is Laverne Maxine Johnson. Her family knows her as Maxine, the name used to avoid confusion between her and her late husband, named Laverne. Most in town know her by Laverne. To say Lyons was patchworked together by her is no exaggeration. Lyons Town Board member is her most notable position, an elected honor since her husband held it at his death. Since 1965, her crusades and awarded grants have included everything from new kayak and bike trails, open space annexations, and a new high school, to personally raising over $200,000 to start a museum. It's no coincidence the new high school exists where her family farm once stood. Oh, Then there is her 55-year history running the local square dance in town every Saturday night in the summer.
I don't have an estimate for what has been built in Lyons due to her efforts, but it's clearly in the tens of millions. So when the waters came into town and destroyed much of it, I could not even imagine what it would feel like to see one's life's work in shambles.
Parks and trails erased from the earth, neighborhoods in ruin. Enormous piles of silt mixed with boulders, huge trees, and crumbled cars. When the evacuees converged to high ground at the elementary school in the middle of the night, the fire department did not know how to get in or how to turn on the lights. Guess who you know who to call? Laverne to the rescue. 50 years of running the local square dance in the building paid off in an important way.
I expected her to be the last person to leave, and sure enough, she waited until her own inspection of the town and then word that no power, water, or sewer would be provided to finally drive out a few days later. I don't think she thought she was evacuated. She thought she was forced to leave. To my surprise, Laverne arrived in relatively good spirits. Must be shock, I thought. Maybe tomorrow the depression will set in. Not a chance. Without skipping a beat, she went to work. My landline started ringing off the hook for the first time since 1999. I thought, oh boy, a step back in time. She wanted phone books and newspapers.
Within hours, she commanded the entire family, setting up a makeshift office in the kitchen. She soon outgrew the kitchen table. One table turned into 3, and her computer, printer, and boxes of projects eventually took over Randall's room.
My mobile land phone went into one pocket, her cell phone into the other. We had to improvise on how to carry all the communication devices up and down the stairs with a red purse. Then she needed help with Facebook. Sorry, I'm not quite there yet, but with 900 friends, and now she has over 1,600, on her page, there was no time to waste getting information and sharing it with the town. Her Lyons family were now separated and dispersed all over the county, staying in churches, homes of relatives, and motels. A quick investigation on how to post, and she was off to the races. Forget entertainment and dinner with me. She had no time. In 8 weeks, I only cooked her 2 dinners. She was never home. 2 pillows to prop her truck seat, and she was off. A typical week included square dancing 3 evenings a week,
At least 2 funerals,
weekly Lyons Town Board meetings and numerous emergency meetings,
weekly Longmont City Council meetings,
weekly writing of the social news,
the monthly school board meeting,
numerous FEMA meetings,
sleeping between 2 and 6 p.m. and then again between 2 and 6 a.m.
numerous meetings and negotiations with asbestos servicers, insurance agents, roofers, and the contractors, and then again battles with the unscrupulous vultures that were flying in.
Commendation ceremonies for first responders,
Lyons High School volleyball games, Lyons football, evening band concerts,
her own commendation ceremonies,
a doctor appointment here and there, and donation acceptance ceremonies. Did we get it all?
I think so. Laverne sits on the town board, but that is not her main position. She is sort of like a self-appointed politician, without the salary scandal and campaign donations. She is an old-fashioned, one-woman, grassroots community crusade powerhouse. Everyone in town is 1 degree away from Laverne. It is not unusual at any gathering for the sea of people to part, and Laverne makes her way to the front.
To the mic. Did I mention she was interviewed on NPR the week of the flood? They wanted to hear drama, but she gave them a town advertisement. Catch her on Channel 7 News, and as mayor for the day, she met with the governor of Colorado for a tour of the flood-ravaged town. Managing her own PR, she was a little disappointed that that photo appeared on Channel 9 News and the Longmont paper, but did not make the Boulder newspaper. I don't blame her for being disappointed. After all, it memorialized the day the governor got to meet Laverne. I finally suggested to my husband that his mother needs a curfew. She's virtually up before us and home and to bed long after us. We supplied her with the garage code, a house key, and a flashlight so she could see it all after midnight. Forget dinner or entertainment or helping her keep up with things. She rattles off the town numbers and athletic stats like a reporter. Ron and I are exhausted. I needed the kids to come home for the holidays and wear her out, so we wouldn't worry about her being out so late.
No need looking after her. Her husband used to call her a bulldog. Beware, she does not give up on something. You can be for her or not for her, but you never want to be against her. The Lions community started to return home the last week of November. The millions needed for flood repair did not deter Laverne. It only solidified her commitment to volunteer. Her resiliency is a testament to her fortitude, pure determination, genuine care for her hometown, and a selfless commitment to improving a community. Add in a sense of humor, and her life's work becomes her joy. The Lions Community Foundation welcomed residents back with a benefit dinner. Colorado Congressman Jared Polis sent a flag that flew over the nation's capital as a symbol of strength. In a touching moment, the flag was presented to Laverne, who gave thanks and said, "We will fly this flag over the town hall as soon as we find it." This month, she moved home.
I think I'm actually going to miss my mother-in-law. It's been sort of like watching my last teenager leave home. But if that's what getting older is like, I'm tired already. We met up with her at her third Christmas Eve service for the day yesterday. She attended one at each church in Lyons. It's fun to see people greet her, hug her, give up their seat for her. Afterwards, she drove off into the dark in her truck, and a voice yelled down the street, "Merry Christmas, Laverne." I now see the power of one. Maxine's lifetime of gifts remind me that at the end of it all, where you went to college, how far you succeeded in your career, your title, the car you drive, or how much money you make doesn't matter. Never mind where you call your office. Even the sum of everything you've built does not count. One rainy evening, it can all be gone. To leave a mark in life, it's the character of your contribution that survives. In Laverne's final days, she held steadfast to the values she lived. She died with grace and grit and humor.
Our family found solace in the many cards sent and the kind words spoken to her at the nursing home.
You set the standard.
You have been called the Grande Dame of Lyons, the Princess of Lyons, and the Queen.
You are as much a part of Lyons as is the sandstone.
I think of you like my own mother.
It was said when I was in grade school that if you hugged Laverne, it was good luck.
You are a figurehead on the bow of our ship. Such a lovely town we have, and I know that your guidance has been instrumental. You are the captain of the ship, and the sails, and the wind.
Lyons is how you spell Laverne, but probably the best way is Love.
Jerry is an angel.
Rest in peace, Laverne. The town of Lyons won't be the same without you.